Hi Gautamda, how are you?
Nice, thank you. How are you?
Perfect, can't complain. Welcome to another session of URL today. It's a beautiful day. Happy that we get the chance to talk again.
Absolutely.
So today we want to talk about immigrants
Yes.
and challenges that they face coming into a country. There's so many challenges,
Yes.
not just financial challenge or feeling homesick. There's so many other challenges that
Yes.
you have faced, I have faced, and so many countless others have faced. So let's delve a bit deeper into that, I think.
Yes. And be bit more specific.
Yeah, let's get specific. Let's try and elaborate, tackle some of those challenges and how there are avenues out there. Are there any avenues out there to begin with,
Exactly.
and what they are? So yeah, let's kick off with that. So challenges with immigrants, maybe top 5. What do you think
Yes.
you would categorize?
Okay. So first of all, we have to categorize 2 immigrants. One is international students, and one is people who are migrating to this country with professional degrees or whatever, because those 2 journeys are very different. So when students are coming, let's stick to that student first. So when students are coming, definitely they have very less amount of money in their hands, and they try to stick to the education, and they try to stick to where the university is. So based on that, they try to find locations where they can stay. Now, where they are staying, normally they don't have much idea about it. Just try to understand a little bit about the area, in the sense, is there any disturbance of any sort? Though I can totally understand international students don't have much like luxury to choose, but still, if the area is bit troublesome, then
Dodgy,
try to avoid that. Try to stay somewhere where the area is like calm and commute is good. So that is good. That is one thing. For international students, initially when they arrived, yes, they need MyKey. They need a card which they can buy from all the convenience stores like 7-Eleven and stuff. With that card, they can travel into all public transports, because that is very much necessary.
Correct, yeah.
So, and for that accommodation, normally university helps. There are some student accommodations also in Melbourne, and there are some services also who try to help these students out. So accommodation is there, and then MyKey is necessary for Melbourne for public transport, and then few you have to have Australian tax file number.
Oh yeah.
Because eventually it will work.
Correct.
So that also universities help, or websites are there. And then comes to like survival, which is like where they will work. Okay. Now initially, again, it depends on where they are staying. So if the university is in outside CBD, they are living outside CBD, but most of the work is in CBD, that is also not optimal.
Correct, yeah.
So they have to stay somewhere where the work is also close and university is also close. This is a bit of a juggle, but everyone has to do that. Initially, it's all kind of odd jobs. For example, working in restaurants, or working in like a call centers, or whatever skills people have. Normally, bigger cities have bigger opportunities, or more roles that way. But like a far suburbs has less and less opportunities. Okay. So that little bit of work definitely helps them to pay their bills regularly.
Yeah, yeah.
So this is like the basic initial stuff. Okay. we haven't gone into like career and like a proper job. No, this is just a survival.
Just,
you come here, understand the society, understand the culture and all these things. Whereas when people are coming from with permanent residency, that means they have certain experience, certain jobs. So they are definitely coming and looking for jobs, right? Sometimes they are coming with their family. So
added complexity
kids,
there.
right? So then when you are coming with a family, definitely watch out which suburb you are settling in. Don't just go for cheap suburbs. Yes, for new immigrants, sometimes they just try to stay close to their friends if they have any. Maybe that suburb is not good. But still, I mean, just try to understand that, because your kids will go to, those ecosystem outside.
Correct.
Like baby childcare, or primary schools or whatever.
Depending on the age
of the children. When there is children, definitely try to watch out, like if there is any medical facilities around that area. Because sometimes if you are not in a renowned suburbs, then it might be a bit far and you don't have any car at that point of time. So those things also. And commute, public transport, try to be close to public transport.
Train station
or bus station or tram station, until you afford a car. I mean, still you afford a car, then also there are places it's better if you go by public transport. So try to stay close to that.
So maybe let's take a step back. Let's say, I'll give you an example, hypothetical example. An immigrant, maybe student immigrant, they're planning to come to Australia for studies. Nowadays, there's, I think you mentioned in your other podcast videos, there's an overload of information.
Yes.
Information overload. There's so much out there, social media, websites, forums. Now, let's say someone who's not too familiar with Australia, doesn't have too many contacts in Australia, they just go online and they try to find, what do I need to prepare myself? Like you mentioned, financial things, public transport, housing, where to live, what do I look for? There's so many issues, landlord, contractual agreements, banking, this and that. So is going on social media, on forums, Facebook groups, this group, that group, you think is that really the best approach to get this information? Because none of that is filtered, none of that is, no one's reviewing that information or checking, this is correct, this is wrong. And there's so many instances of people taking advantage of others. So what are your thoughts on that? Like, how can someone who is completely fresh, coming into Australia, get the best advice, if it's even out there, from one source or multiple sources? What is?
Yes, I mean, when someone is trying to come to Australia, first of all, in their country, they have to judge, or they have to examine like what kind of agencies or what kind of ways they are coming into Australia, because in many cases dodgy stuff started from there only.
Correct.
Right. So when they come in this country, already spent some money, and then they realize it's all scam. So, and that bit definitely, I mean, they have to watch out for. They have to.
So the thing starts from day one.
From day one,
there's
exactly.
already people trying to take advantage of
exactly,
people.
Because that time they don't have much information.
Correct.
They are vulnerable. It's easy to kind of manipulate them, right? So, but if you choose like a proper agencies, like for example, I also came through a proper agency. It's pretty decent. I mean, you will get what they will basically kind of.
They're promising you.
The promise they
you're
give.
Getting what you are paying for.
And if the agencies, at least from my experience or what I heard now also, if the agency is real, normally students, they don't have to pay any money. Because these agencies or these organizations, they get money from the university itself because they are sending an international students to them.
Right, like a commission or something.
Exactly.
Okay.
So that means if someone is charging money, that I guess should be a red flag.
Okay. That's a
Right?
good point. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
And definitely, like after coming here, normally like first 2-3 months are basically that what you call it, that pressure cooker situation. You don't know anything, you need a lot of information, you have to process a lot of information.
Yeah.
So in some cases there are some organizations who are actually helping. We will recommend one organization. They actually try to help only in those 2 to 3 months period.
Oh, okay. Right.
Right. You can, like, we will give you the link and all.
Okay.
So they are just offering those 2 to 3 months service, like any kind of information.
Okay.
People who actually lived that kind of life before, that means who are first generation immigrants,
Okay.
who are now in this country for 10 years, 15 years, 20 years, they will give you. And if any specific questions asked, they know where to go to find the answer, and they will give the filtered, proper, optimum answer for that particular individual or for that particular family.
Okay, so it's like a lived experience. Someone is actually responding to these questions.
Exactly,
Okay.
lived experience and first generation immigrants.
Right, right.
Because the reason is, people who are coming from collective societies to Australia, let's say India or Sri Lanka, Bangladesh, their need or their way of being is very different than someone who is coming from Europe, right? So yes, I mean, generalized informations are there, but when they will talk to someone who has those experience, and it's not just, it's a proper discussion they're going through. It's a proper like a group session, everyone is talking. So more information flow actually help to settle down in Australia much easier, much faster.
You get that personalized response because everyone has a different scenario they're coming from.
Exactly.
And I think a lot of places this general information is like a script, something they've created, documentation, but sometimes you just have a unique situation that someone with lived experience might be there, like they've gone through the exact same thing.
Yes,
that might help.
I mean, like, for example, few cases, what I know, a family came with a 2-year-old kid, okay, in winter, like Melbourne winter, okay. They from airport, there was a designated hotel, they were booked, it's fine, so they came here. In this journey, the kids got sick, okay, and next day was Sunday, and Monday he was about to join, okay, where he actually, the company brought him here. And that night the kid was sick, so he doesn't know where to go. Okay. Sunday morning he started like asking people here and there, and they end up like getting couple of like GP clinic. Okay. To go there, they didn't realize that they have to have some public transport card.
Oh, right.
So they got into transport. Australia is a good country, so no one complained. Okay, they just helped him, which is good. That's a good thing about this country. So they get down and they realize they need a card. So sick kids, like as a parent, anyway, you are struggling, vulnerable in that new situation. Kid is sick. It gets really complicated. And in one case, I knew that kid has to hospitalized.
Oh, really? That was quite serious.
And they needed money.
Right.
Now they had money in their own country. They brought little bit of money. They needed like $5,000. Who will give them that time? Yeah, true. So these unique situations can be managed. Okay. Can be managed. Okay.
That's again very unique situation.
Yes.
And it sounded like it's a bit of an emergency as well.
Yes.
So having an avenue where immigrant students, or this is a working professional, can just quickly ask questions, call someone. That is really good.
Exactly.
Valuable. Yeah.
Exactly. because you also like worked in different cities, in different like areas,
Yeah.
what you think will be like a best possible way when these new immigrants come to this country, let's say they finish their education, and someone who came as a permanent resident and they have to look for work,
Yeah.
just top 5 things they have to do. The reason I ask you is resume writing is very different in different culture.
Oh yeah. Yeah, that's right.
Right?
Correct.
Sometimes it doesn't transfer well culturally. So in one country maybe 10 pages resume is good, but here maybe 2 pages is fine. So how to make that balance, or what are the top 5 things they should look? Can you summarize it a little bit?
Yeah, sure. I mean, it's a very open, a lot of discussion can happen here. But maybe if I had to pick a few things, so a professional trying to come into Australia to look for, let's say they don't have a job lined up yet, so they're trying to get into the market. I think the first thing that would help is actually finding someone who is working in your role already in Australia, in this country, so that you can also ask questions about. So let's say you're looking for a manager position role and in a certain industry. So if you are able to connect with someone, whether it's through LinkedIn or some other network, just to ask those questions. Okay, I'm coming from this country, I have this much experience, do you have any advice? So just having that one-to-one connection, again, personalized, unique. There's so much information online, but having that person on the other side that can help you. Maybe that person is also an immigrant, that's even more,
even better,
an added value there. Because maybe a non-immigrant might not have the same challenges or struggles that they've gone through. One example I can tell you is when you talked about resume writing. I know a friend of mine, he worked overseas many years. He's coming here. So he struggled a lot with trying to get a job, a professional job. He worked lots of odd jobs to get by, but he wanted to work in his sector. So he approached many resume writing companies or recruitment agencies, and this one stuck in my head because his name was very unique. It's not a common name here. So the agency told him, you got to change your name. Change your name to something that's a bit more palatable here. I'm like, I don't know about that. To me, that is a complete a red flag as well. If a company is judging you by your name,
something is not right.
Then there's much to be said about the culture in that company. So
True.
So he changed his name. He tried it for a bit, and then he told me they looked at his resume and they looked at his application. They said, your names are different. What's going on here? So he said, look, this is the advice I got. And actually, personally, I've even been told to change my name, because my name, apparently it's a bit complicated.
Yes.
So my name is Prithvijit. So I think someone told me to change my name to Peter.
Okay.
Peter Roy. So I said, I politely declined. I said, no, I'm not going to change my name. So I've shortened my name to make it easier. But there's certain advice you've also got to be aware of.
Yes.
But there's also good recruitment agencies out there that will actually give you valuable added advice. They will tell you, okay, this resume needs to be 2 pages, or you're applying to this industry, write it this way. Or one really good advice I got was connect with the company you're applying to first. Try to talk to them. Try to ask them, I found this role, I want to apply for this. Do you have any advice? I'm coming from this background. Sometimes they're really good. They'll actually tell you, this is what you're looking for before you even apply for the job. Because there's no point wasting your time applying for a job you're not going to get. There's certain things that they look for. They look for experience. They look for qualifications. So
sometimes this scam is also in the market, especially if the market is dry, it happens more rampant, which is, let's say company A is actually hiring someone. Okay. Now they have preferred vendors, maybe 5 preferred vendors. Okay. Now these 5 preferred vendors, sometimes they also have sub vendors. Okay. So this one job got distributed to all of them.
Right.
Now someone is like, he can apply here, here, or here. Okay. Now definitely when he is applying here, they have their cut, you know.
Wow.
So
Yes.
that way, and that is still okay at the end of the day if the guy is getting the
Get
job.
the job. Yeah, correct.
But some of these third layer companies, they also don't know whether the business is theirs or not. They are also like pumping resumes.
Yeah, correct.
In a dry market, it's very, very frustrating someone who is out of job for a while or looking to get into a job.
Yeah. Yeah.
So yes, but there are definitely very like a good recruiter, good people out there.
Yeah. The challenge is though trying to find those good ones. The good ones are very few and rare, and unless someone is recommending you something, I think that's again coming back to the first point, that lived experience. Someone who's already gone through it, they will recommend you go to these recruitment agencies because they are reliable, they're trustworthy. But if someone doesn't know anyone, they'll try every single recruitment agency. They'll apply jobs here, there, everywhere.
And IT industry also work very differently than engineering industry.
Yeah, exactly.
Engineering industry will work differently with, you know,
mining
or maintenance or whatever. Yes, operations.
The other thing I would say top 5 is, I think it's very valuable, is networking. So if someone comes to this, especially Australia works a lot on, I think, networking and also the way you talk to people. So if you are a person who expects, you know, not going to talk to anyone or not socializing, I think it's a bit of a drawback. You have to open yourself up. If you're in that position, you need a job, because a lot of times jobs come just because you've asked someone, you've talked to someone.
Yes.
And they'll then recommend. So my personal experience is I've got a few jobs purely because I talked to someone and they actually told me, oh, there's a job opening there, I know the manager, you know, I can recommend, just send me your resume. That's it.
Yes.
Done. So you've got a leg in at least getting your resume in front of someone. But if you don't put yourself out there, it's just one more door that you haven't tried. You've got to put yourself out in positions that you may not have, you know, done before. So being uncomfortable, I think that you have to be ready to be uncomfortable.
And one more thing I should add with this is, like, don't worry about rejections.
Oh,
so
there'll be so much.
Sometimes you won't get any rejection letter.
No,
Sometimes
that's true.
Sometimes you won't get any rejection, like call or message or anything that way. So yeah, if you end up applying whatever 10:1, maybe less, I guess, like 25 or 50:1. Yeah, that's kind of a ratio we should look for. But yes, don't worry about rejections, and another suggestion is don't dream too much until you start a job. Because a good interview, then yes over the phone, then contract letter sign, there is a massive gap. So until you start somewhere, don't dream too much on it.
And that's a really good point. I've had so many scenarios where verbally they've said, yes, your application looks really good, we're promising, and then silence for almost a few months. So until you sign the contract, I think just keep applying, because that doesn't, if you haven't signed anything, it means you haven't got the job.
Yes.
And the another thing is I've had rejection letters, I think, come one year later saying, we apologize, unfortunately.
So generous.
So I was like, at least I got one, you know.
Yeah, so generous. Yep.
It's an interesting experience for sure.
Yes, and the reason I told you, the reason is, let's say an IT professional coming from India. Okay, in India also job market used to be like too much demand and supply was less. It's changing dramatically, but so their expectation is IT jobs are like all over, everywhere, like too many jobs, you know. They just go and apply.
As in here in Australia?
Here, when they come here.
When they come here.
Yeah.
Okay, right. But where is that coming from? Where is that expectation coming from? Is it?
Because in India, there are a lot of jobs. Like from the cities they are coming from, maybe Hyderabad or Bangalore or whatever. There are a lot of jobs maybe. Or with their skill set, they have more opportunities.
Right.
When they come here, they think, okay, scenario will replicate similar,
Same.
even better,
Oh,
because they're coming for a better life, right?
Yeah.
But sometimes it doesn't happen. So,
No, true.
so yeah, so that is,
There's also another one I'm seeing a pattern is a lot of people, they actually prefer local experience over international experience. So that is sometimes a factor in, I've seen some people say, look, they're very experienced. They have so much experience, but not Australian experience or local experience. And that has played a factor in getting a job or not.
that is very demoralizing in some cases.
It is very, yeah.
Especially in a skilled environment, not in operations, not in like a, relatively like lower skill set level.
Yeah.
Let's say engineers or, mechanics or even IT professionals. This local experience thing actually killed, many dreams. What do you think? Like in that kind of scenario, they should get something, start, that way they will tune, or how they should go about?
To be honest, Gautam, there's no choice.
Yes.
You pretty much have to take what you're given. At that point, it could be the lowest role,
Yes.
setting you back 10 years that you were doing, and the pay is measly. But I've seen people do that. They come from other countries and they're at really high positions, but they have to start to get their leg in. They're doing this and they're not happy, but they have to play the long game. Unfortunately, they have to play the long game.
Yeah.
Until they can prove themselves, build that experience. So either they build experience, they move out of the company, or they get promoted internally. I don't know. That's the hard truth. That's what you have to do, I think.
And this is because mainly Australia is like a settler country. So people here come to settle, not like Middle East where people just go and work and come back.
True. Yeah.
Like US, I guess. So in these settler countries, I guess, yes, there are a lot of different type of comfort this country offers in a wholesome life. So to get or to enjoy those things, you have to settle first.
Yeah.
Yes, just try something,
Yeah.
get in, and
Yeah.
Okay. Now, another thing which is related partially with this immigrant's lifestyle. How do you reckon these introvert people can really come up and like show or at least tell their skills? How can they do that? I mean, do they need for a training or something, or some basic rules, if some guidance we can give to them? Or because I know, personally, I know two right now, they don't have job. I know them, but they're not talking to anyone.
Okay.
So
Yeah. So I have a different take on this. So to me, as you would know, there are different levels of introverts.
Yes.
Introverts. So there's introverts who are, completely introverted. Like you say, they don't talk to anyone unless they absolutely have to.
yeah,
Their life depends on it. And then there's introverts that can sort of turn on their extrovert side a bit, but then it sort of exhausts them. It is tiring.
absolutely.
Because that is not their normal way of behaving. So I think maybe the first thing is to understand who you are. Calling yourself an introvert is probably very high level. You need to know where do you stand in this introvert spectrum. Is it very introverted? Then once you know where your challenges are, then you can work on them. But if you're
maybe a personality, like a test, whatever
could
freely
be, yeah.
In the internet they can find, just to
Yeah.
understand who they are and what kind of personality they have and what kind of jobs might suit them in long term.
Correct.
That
Yeah.
awareness may be helpful a little
It
bit.
might be helpful, yeah, but it's tricky trying to get a job. Again, I've seen so many people that are introverts. They're doing amazingly well
Yes.
in their positions. Like they're managers, senior managers. But I've spoken to them. They said, "Look, I'm actually an introvert. I don't like public scenarios. But as a job, when I have to do it, I turn on this other side of me, but that comes with practice. It's not overnight. They have to put themselves out there. Like for me, I'm an introvert. At least I think I am, because I hate public scenario settings.
Yeah.
But when I have to, I know where my weaknesses are. Like public speaking was a weakness of mine.
Public speaking actually weakness of many people apparently.
Correct. But I've asked people, when I do public speaking now, they tell me, oh, you look very cool and calm. Like, yeah, but inside I am not.
yeah, it's burning.
But coming to that level, you know certain things you can do.
Yes.
What do you do when you get, like I used to just freeze. I used to just forget everything. I came prepared. I know what to say, but I'm on stage in front of these people. I'm like, oh dear, what was I talking about? So how do you navigate those kind of things? And then what also helped is, how do you start a conversation with someone you've never met, a stranger? The introverts are good with people they know, right?
Yes.
They grew up friends. But if I told you, okay, you need to talk to that person to ask them about this role or this networking, just network with someone. I'll throw you in a room. You need to get everyone's number, email address. Can you do it? So how do you start these conversations? That's a skill. You can learn it. It's not something you're born with. You can learn these skills.
Yes.
So I learned that over time, because I said, if I wanted to get a job, I have to learn how to talk to these people, senior managers. And we have this thing, right? We have this stigma sometimes in our heads. Oh, he's a senior manager, or he or she is a senior manager. I can't talk to them. There's a different level. I'm not even there. But, until you try, you might get rejected, but you got to try. I think that's just got to put yourself out there. So like
push yourself little by
little, you're almost testing yourself. Okay, this is working. No, this is not working. Maybe I should ask this way, or approach this way. It's so unique for everyone.
Yes.
This is just my experience. It could be different for another person.
Yeah, for me, like I'm relatively like outspoken, so extrovert that way. But in my life, I also struggled in a work environment. When someone I'm talking to, I know he or she is giving me fluff, not saying the right thing, but diplomatically come to the answer with a straight face. No, man, I miserably failed there.
Right.
But some people I have seen, they just do it. I mean, they thrive in that kind of environment.
Okay.
So again, same thing. I also tried a little bit, patience, non-judgmental, push it little bit. And like
the thing I think also helps, again, this is later down the track when you get to know people, is having a mentor. The mentor-mentee type relationship, and it don't have to be official, but someone who's experienced and willing to share with you. So if, let's say, I'm having trouble with dealing with a conflict situation at work, I need to talk to someone, right?
Yes.
Probably the first thing is, don't hold it inside. You have to talk to someone about it, get advice with someone who has done it. So trying to find that person you can go to, your go-to person. It could be someone in a completely different industry, because these are soft skills. Soft skills are transferable anywhere. It could be someone working in a completely different industry. Just build that relationship so you can get some mentoring, on how to deal with situations. Right.
And I mean, I really like this mentoring concept because like a mentoring actually brings a lot of wisdom and a lot of emotions around it. It's not like very transactional. Like coaching sometimes can be very transactional, right? I want this. Okay, do this thing, and you will achieve this. Mentoring is like more cozy, like a holistic approach sometimes, and in many cases, it's just a seat and open conversation.
Just a conversation, just like this, just a discussion. What's going on, what's happening, what are the challenges? Okay, you can try this.
Exactly. And if whoever is watching this, they want to listen to some discussions, they can write it down to us.
Absolutely.
And
in the
we
comments
can have
or
that.
reach
Yes,
out.
we can do that.